Pronounced Hangzhou, Hangzhou is the capital city of the province of Zhejiang and lies at the southernmost end of China's famous Grand Canal. This spectacular UNESCO World Heritage Site is the world's longest canal, stretching some 1,776 kilometers and connecting the city to Beijing. Thanks to the canal and the city's location at the foot of a picturesque mountain range, Hangzhou is also one of the country's most popular tourist destinations and makes a great jumping-off point for travelers seeking a taste of Eastern China's rich cultural heritage. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 rated attractions and things to do in Hangzhou. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more awesome travel guides, and make sure you hit the notification bell so that you know when we publish a new video. So now let's cut to the chase. And at number 10, Running Tiger Spring. Also known by the romantic name of Dreaming of the Tiger Spring, Running Tiger Spring is located just 5 kilometers southwest of Westlake and is one of China's best-known springs. Legend has it that the spring was discovered by a monk around AD 819, who, during a time of drought, dreamed he would be led to a source of water by 2 tigers. To celebrate the discovery, a number of fine statues of tigers have been built overlooking the springs and its curative mineral waters, which flow at an impressive 80 gallons per second. It's also famous for enhancing the flavor of locally grown Longjing tea, served in a nearby tea house and across the region. Note that the surface tension of the water is unusually high and can be tested by placing a small coin on the surface and watching it float. At 9, tour the canals of Wuzhen Water Village. An hour's commute northeast of Hangzhou is Wuzhen, one of China's most famous water villages. Like a much smaller version of Venice, Wuzhen is crisscrossed with waterways both wide and narrow, each bustling with longboats steered by locals punting along the water with large poles and carrying everything from vegetables and livestock to tourists. This popular tourist destination is split into 6 unique districts, each focusing on a particular facet of the area's rich culture. These include areas dedicated to crafts and workshops, traditional housing, food and drink, arts and entertainment, as well as a shopping district. Exploring the town is easy thanks to a variety of well-marked routes leading to whatever particular area most interests you. It's easy to spend hours wandering its many paths and bridges and exploring its many points of interest. The town's most popular crossings are the Tongji and the Renji bridges, famous because either can be viewed through the other's arch. At 8, hike magnificent Mount Mogan. One of the best excursions from Hangzhou is to Mount Mogan. This impressive 719-meter-tall mountain is located about 50 kilometers northwest of the city and takes its name from a legendary couple who lived here in the 5th century BC. Both were gifted blacksmiths who devoted their lives to making 2 incomparably beautiful swords for the emperor. Today, the mountain is highly regarded for its outstanding natural beauty and has long been a favorite retreat for the country's social elite. In addition to sightseeing, other popular activities include hiking and biking with many stopovers at quaint local inns or smaller hotels set up in some of the older villas built in the earlier 20th century. A good jumping-off point is the small town of Moganshan, home to many traditional restaurants and contemporary lodging options. At 7 now, the Chinese National Silk Museum. Hangzhou's famous silk is celebrated across the city in its many markets and stalls, as well as its cultural and arts facilities. However, the best place to learn more about this ancient industry's impact on the city is the superb Chinese National Silk Museum. Located just a short hike from West Lake, this world-class facility, the largest of its kind in the world, offers a number of fascinating displays on the history of the country's most important textile through the centuries. Exhibits cover everything from its manufacturer to the many products made from it. Highlights are the numerous silk relics, including works of art and clothing, as well as exhibits on silk's importance as an item of trade and the famous Silk Road. At 6, wander King Hefang Ancient Street. Be sure to allocate at least a few hours in your Hangzhou itinerary to wander the city's splendid historic district, centering on Qinghefang Ancient Street. An easy walk from Westlake, this always bustling and relatively unspoiled area provides a glimpse into what city life in China must have been like in the old days. In addition to its many traditional restaurants and tea houses, the area is a hotbed of creative culture, with countless street artists demonstrating ancient writing skills and art techniques. There are also numerous interesting boutique stores and market stalls selling everything from silk products to tea, Longjing of course. Be sure to take a peek into some of the many unchanged side alleys leading off Qinghefang. If you do, you'll be rewarded with a fascinating look at how Chinese tradesmen and craftsmen have lived through the centuries. At 5, Longjing Tea and the Dragon Well. Hangzhou is famous the world over for its locally grown Longjing tea, named after the small village just 3 kilometers southwest of Westlake where it's grown. The picturesque village of Longjing, literally translated as Dragon Well, sits amid some of China's most beautiful countryside and is easily accessible from Hangzhou. A highlight of a visit to the village and its many plantations is the chance to sample its traditional teas at source, the unique flavour of which is credited as coming from the ancient spring that provides water for the village's well, the Dragon Well. Tours take in one of the tea factories in which the fresh tea leaves are refined, processed and packed. Also worth a visit is the superb China National Tea Museum. Highlights of a visit include seeing numerous exhibitions related to the production of tea, as well as the history behind the many ceremonies surrounding its consumption. Be sure to visit the remarkable viewing platform for its spectacular views, an even better experience with the addition of a tea tasting experience. At 4, Lingyin Temple and the Peak That Flew From Afar. Another of Hangzhou's many splendid historic sites is the Lingyin Temple, the Temple of the Soul's Retreat. Dating from 326 BC, it's one of the most famous Buddhist monasteries in China. Highlights of a visit include the Hall of the Celestial Kings with its many fine 12th century sculptures, including those of the 4 Celestial Kings, and the 34-metre-high sumptuous Hall of the Great Hero, famous among pilgrims for its 20-metre-tall gilded statue of Buddha made of 24 pieces of camphor wood. Also notable here is the Peak That Flew From Afar. This attractive mountain is riddled with numerous caves and niches, the latter containing 380 Buddha statues dating from the 10th century. Among them, the 3 oldest examples date from AD 951 and are found in the east wall of the Qingling Cave. To the north of the Temple of the Soul's Retreat is the North Peak, with its superb views of Westlake and the surrounding scenery. At 3, pretty pagodas, Liuhe, Lifeng and Baoqiu. Just 8 kilometers south of Hangzhou on the north bank of the Qintang River, the exquisite 60-meter-high Liuhe Pagoda, also known as the Pagoda of the Six Harmonies, is well worth making the short commute to visit. Tracing its roots back as far as AD 970 to the former pagoda, believed to have stood 150 meters tall and to have served as a lighthouse, the present structure was built in 1899 with the original ancient brick core retained and covered in wood cladding. Also of interest are the many replicas of other pagodas from across China. A climb to the top of the building, accessible via a staircase, is well worth the effort. You'll be rewarded with superb views over the Qiantang River and its 1,322-meter road and rail bridge, built in 1937. Also worth a visit is the city's Lifeng Pagoda, a splendid 5-story octagonal tower overlooking Westlake, which dates from AD 975, and the ancient stone Baoqiu Pagoda, perched atop Precious Stone Hill. And now at 2, visit the home of the general, Yuefei Temple. If you're only able to visit one of the many fine architectural structures on Westlake, make sure it's Yuefei Temple. Located at the northern end of the Su Causeway, this splendid old temple was built in 1221 in honor of the much revered General Yuefei. Despite having successfully repelled several Tatar raids, he was falsely accused of high treason and, along with his son, was hung in 1142. Later, he was cleared of the charges and reburied on the site of the temple built in his name. Highlights of a visit include a statue of Yue Fei in the temple hall, the ceiling of which is richly decorated with cranes, a symbol of immortality. The temple also contains 86 stone plaques on which Emperor Gaozong and his wife engraved classical texts by Confucius, while the most valuable treasure is a stone celestial globe dating from the time of the Five Dynasties. Also worth a visit is the nearby 500-acre Hangzhou Botanical Gardens. Established in 1956, it's home to over 4,000 species of plants, a splendid herb garden, and numerous different kinds of bamboo. And finally, at number 1, see the famous bridges of Westlake. The focal point of a visit to Hangzhou is beautiful Westlake, around which much of the oldest part of the city is centered. Surrounded by hills and historic temples, this large lake covers an area of nearly 6 square kilometers and is divided into 5 sections by the Su and Baidi causeways. These sections consist of the outer lake, the north inner lake, the west inner lake, and the south lake, and Lake Yue. The nearly 3-kilometer-long Su Causeway was built in 1089 and is itself one of Westlake's most important attractions. Linking the lake's north and south banks, it's tremendously popular for a stroll, particularly in spring when its flower beds and peach trees are in bloom. It's an especially pleasing sight when viewed while taking a boat ride across the lake. It's also home to many fine old bridges, most notably the Broken Bridge, linking the Baidi Causeway with the shore. Other highlights are the Pavilion of the Autumn Moon from 1699 and the Pavilion of the Cranes built around 1300 in honor of poet Lin Hejing, who died in 1028 and whose grave lies nearby. Also worth visiting are the Isle of the Hill of Solitude with its fine views and museums. Little Paradise Island, with its 4 mini-lakes linked by the zigzagging Bridge of the 9 Arches and famous for its lotus blossoms, water lilies, pavilions and terraces, and the Bay of Flowers, a 50-acre park dating back to the 12th century. Another interesting attraction here is the Westlake Museum, with its many exhibits related to this important body of water and its influence on the city. Admission is free. Also, be sure to catch one of the fun Westlake musical fountain performances held each evening at 7 p.m. And there you have the top 10 rated attractions and things to do in Hangzhou. Did you like what you saw? Let us know in the comments down below. Share this video with your friends and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fantastic travel guides. So, see you next time.